Good morning, folks. What's going on today? I hope you're all doing good. I'm having a great day. I'm going for a little walk here before I start my next video. So if you watch my previous video, I put a Mina Gallery intake system on my Range Rover because I was trying to get the supercharger sound out of it, which according to my research said that system would open up the intakes and allow you to hear the supercharger. So I kind of poked some fun at track hawks for, even though I love the sound, they're not really refined enough for pinky in the air Range Rover owners like me. But I went ahead and put the system on, and I discovered a few things. I discovered that I did not get any supercharger sound out of it, which was very disappointing to me. I contacted Mina Gallery, and all they said was, according to our research, you should be able to hear it. Well, I can't hear it. But during all that, I also discovered something else, which was that system is not efficient in that those cones are sitting absolutely in the heat of the engine, and they're sucking in heat straight into my throttle body. And I also discovered, this was all after the installation, things I didn't think about, things I didn't discover during my research. I also discovered that it's quite possible, because of the vents in the top of the Range Rover hood, that it's possible, because there's a lot of heat in that Range Rover SVR engine bay. That's why they have those heat extractors in the top. Well, if any water gets into those heat extractors going the opposite direction, down instead of out, that moisture could get into those cones, thereby getting into my engine and causing the possibility of hydrolock. Not having that, folks. So what I've decided to do is to go back to the factory air intakes, but to change the paper filters out for K and N's. And I've also found inside that air box, there's a resonator in the air box, which I didn't know. I found a plastic piece in there that is removable. When I did the research on that, it comes out, I found out that little plastic piece is a resonator to lessen the sound coming through the filters. But they are removable. There's a single screw that holds it in, and it actually directs the air coming through the fender wells to a particular point up at the filter. But you can remove that, get more air in there, somewhat more sound, I'm not sure. But I'm taking that out. I'm going to install the K&N filter and go back to the factory intakes to get true cold air coming through the fenders, because in my estimation, the Mina Gallery intake system is truly not a cold air system, because it doesn't bring in any cold air. I'm not saying it's a bad system. I'm saying that it doesn't work for me and for what I was looking for. If you're into that system, fine, by all means, use it. It doesn't work for me. So I'm going to take my system out, and I'm going to either throw it in the garage, in the attic, or I'll sell it. If somebody's interested in it, hit me up. I paid about $200 for it, for the system, plus shipping to my house. If I sell it, I'll probably sell it for $100. Otherwise, it's going up in the attic. It looks really good, I'll tell you for sure. It looks good, but when I turn it on and I rev it up, I hear absolutely no more supercharger whine than I heard before I put it in. So after I finish this walk that I'm on, gotta stay in shape in retirement. Once I finish this walk, we're gonna get to the garage, and we're gonna go through the installation process of reinstalling the factory air intakes and getting rid of the Mina Gallery system. So stand by for that. All right, folks, we're back from the walk. It was a good walk. I'm all cleaned up, freshened up, got a new watch on, new clothes on, ready to go. By the way, I have an extensive 80 watch collection. I'm thinking about doing a watch collection video. Let me know if you're interested in that. Some car people are into watches. Some watch people are into cars. So here we are. So let me start with what I was talking about during my walk. On top of this SVR hood, there are heat extractors right here. They are for air. There's radiators here on the front. You have heat extractors on the top. And the air for the system comes in, this thing's so low, but it comes in through here on both sides and runs up through the hoses into the engine. So I discovered that's going to be an issue, so I'm going to open up the hood and show you what the problem was that I discovered by using this system. So here is the Mina Gallery system. Looks good. I mean, can't argue that at all. It's a very beautiful system. Looks good. Cones on this side, cones on this side. It has this heat shield on both sides. So the issues I discovered, the heat shield does not cover everything here. It does not isolate these cones from engine heat, which builds up down here. Same on both sides. This heat shield here only goes this way. It doesn't angle around. It doesn't isolate this cone from any of the engine heat. And I discovered when I was trying to figure out why I didn't have any supercharger sound, there's a lot of heat down here, which I then realized this thing is sucking up heat on both sides, bringing it through this intake tube and shoving it straight into my engine right here. My heat extractors that I was talking about are up here. So if it's raining and liquid is coming down into them from up here, any of that misting water gets over here, then these cones are going to be sucking water up straight into my throttle body, into my engine, producing the possibility of hydrolock, and that is not cool. These shields, even though they look good, they don't actually connect up here, and they don't seal these cones off from the rest of this engine bay. You can't see it here, but when I take the cone off, I'll show you. The actual air comes in. Well, you can see it right there. The air actually comes in through that tube right there. There's one over here on this side where the air comes in through this tube, which comes up through a series of things in this fender well, which gives it true cold air. So what I'm going to do is get rid of these, go back to the factory boxes, and install these K&Ns. I noticed that the K&Ns are shorter. They're pre-oiled, so I don't have to worry about putting anything on them. I can just install them straight away. I was also on my walk talking about the resonators for the intake boxes. When I was checking the intake boxes out, I noticed this piece of plastic inside with a single screw hole. This goes right here in the box. You probably can't see it very well, but it's like a little channeler where air comes in through here from the fender. It shoots up right here, and the air filter sits right there. So I investigated that, and right off Range Rover's own site, it says that this is just a resonator. It reduces sound as air comes in through here, and it says that it can be removed. So I'm going to take this out, which will allow air to come from here directly into the entire box, through the K&Ns, and then of course through the intake tubes into the engine, actual cold air. So that's what we're going to do now. So let's get to it. Got the top part of the passenger side air box back together. Got the mass airflow sensor off of the intake hose. Had it disconnected from the cones right there. Got it back on top of here. So I wanted to show you this cavity here where this is going to go back into and where the cones came out of. So this big cavity here is full of heat. Full of engine heat. And this is the area I was talking about, where this area right here, that hole, is where the cold air comes directly into the air box from the fender wells. And of course, that goes right here. That's where the air goes in. So that's what we're about to put all this back together and install the K&Ns and be done. Quick job. Be back with you in a second. It's all back in order. I got both air boxes back on, connected to their actual cold air spots in the fenders. Supercharger cover back on, and K&N filters in, and those internal plastic resonators right there out. So what we're going to do next is do a cold start. I don't really care how it sounds at this point. The supercharger whine is totally not important. I just want to make sure I have no check engine lights from disconnecting and reconnecting those mesh air sensor connectors on both sides, and then we will wrap it up. All right, we're going to turn this thing on and see what we get with everything back in place. Yeah, let this thing warm up, and not warm up, but let the computers all connect with each other before you crank it up. When you give it a couple seconds to recognize itself, then generally, let me turn the loud button on. And generally, they have less problems with these screens. Here we go. Oh my gosh. Out of gas. Sounds okay. So the only light I have on the dashboard is I'm low on fuel and my hood is up. So we're gonna go to the gas station and put some gas in this thing. So if you remember, one of my concerns about the Mina Gallery kit was moisture or water getting into my air extractors in the hood up there. Well, guess what happened? Just after I finished putting this in, it started to rain. And then I started imagining to myself, just imagine if I had not changed this, then I might have been driving around out here and water might have been getting down inside of my heat extractor, and those cones might have been sucking that moisture up, thereby the possibility of hydrolock. So whoa, I don't know if you can hear that, but it sounds like a machine gun. All right, let's get to the gas station and I will wrap this up. So what was my takeaway from this? Do your research. I'm not in a position to say that the Mina Gallery air intake kit is good or bad. I can just say that for a Range Rover Sport SVR, it's not, in my opinion. It did not give the promised supercharger whine audible that I could hear. I looked into some other setups that people did, and some of it was people had tunes on their vehicles. I'm not tuning this thing. This thing costs too much money to be tuning and screwing up just to hear a supercharger. I had the problem with the concern for air getting in through the extractors, or water getting into the extractors and going straight to those cones, which were right there inches from it. And the fact that the cones were sitting in the heat right in the area where the air boxes generally are. And the air boxes, like I said, draw heat from draw air from these fender wells, which is cooler, to go into the engine to give you the more dense, cold air the engines prefer. So if you're running any kind of a, what you call cold air system, pay attention to it. Look in your engine and see if your filters or cones are sitting inside of a heated area inside your engine bay. And if it is, you might want to rethink what you're doing. I saw some other videos online of people who did more in-depth research on this as far as driving and throwing thermometers in their vehicles. And even with cold air somewhat systems, when a vehicle is moving, the air inside the engine compartment is a little less hot. But as soon as you come to a red light or any kind of a non-movable position and you're stationary with your engine running, the heat builds up. And while that heat is building up in your engine bay, your intake is sucking that hot air in. So if you're running like a race car or something where you're constantly moving, you're not worried, or you don't have to worry about moisture getting in to your into your cones or whatever kind of filter you're using, then yeah, fine. Cold air is good if you are truly getting cold air. But for the way this system is set up, for my vehicle in particular, and I would say for any other Range Rover Sport SVR that's not in an enclosed system that is drawing in cold air, it's not the system for me. So that's why I took it out. I hope this video was informative to somebody. And if you know somebody with one of these that's running what they call a cold air system, and it probably isn't, maybe you might want to send it over to them or tell them to watch it or whatever. And if you enjoyed the video, please give me a like, share, subscribe. I recently hit 200 subscribers. I appreciate every single one of the subscribers. And I do have people who are always commenting to me. I really appreciate you guys a lot for commenting back to me and letting me know that the stuff I'm putting out, the videos I'm putting out, are helpful to you, informative to you, and entertaining you. That's the biggest part. If you're not entertained, then you'll click away. So don't click away. Keep watching. And I will see you the next time we do some more That Retired Dude's Garage stuff. Have a great day.